Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a tradition for us, the second day of St. Petersburg Economic Forum, to discuss prospects, our future, our relationships. We have a rich history of cooperation and contacts. In recent years, we've had some difficulties and not necessarily optimal ways of development, but considering the relations with the United States, with China and Russia, I would like to state this as if these relations are very important to us in all aspects, in all sectors of industry, dynamic relations and innovative potential of our cooperation. These are the things that I should highlight in hydrogen industry, in energy saving, and on this foundation of the past we'll be building future cooperation in energy, and Russia is a long-term and reliable partner for Germany in its economy. And I think that today we are here and meeting here throughout this year of Germany and Russia, and we have a stable relationship which is based on our traditions, and we will be discussing important topics for ours. So considering this, we'll be dealing with issues of cooperation on optimization of climatic conditions, energy efficiency. It will give a new boost to our relations. We will discuss new aspects, including EU policies in energy. And in this area is gaining special importance, a reduction of carbon emissions, reduction of carbon footprint. Our world, our countries should build and change our policies of energy consumption. So we should discontinue some of the areas that are not optimal anymore, and we should switch to innovations, innovative technologies. And Russia has played and will continue to play an important role if we talk about renewables, oil and gas. Russia is our partner country, not only in terms of resources, but in many other areas as well. And here's what I was thinking. So we will be leading this discussion with Alexey and Mordashov, playing different roles, but he's still in a different meeting. He's at a business breakfast. And I would like to introduce Dmitriy Pumpyanskiy, who will also, hopefully, Pumpyanskiy, who will be playing the role of the moderator, I hope. And there is definitely interest in German-Russian relations, and TMK and Sinara. So he understands the importance of Russian-German relations and Russian Union of Industrial Entrepreneurs. They are our partners as well. So they have some breakthrough proposals, and they're our partner. And in negotiations, when we discuss how to build our innovative future. So I'm going to ask you, how do you see this future based on the interests of your business, your company, and what kind of impact it will have on relations with German businesses? Maybe you can give us a good advice based on your rich experience. Thank you very much. Thank you. very much, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much. So we have another meeting as part of the East Committee of German Economy of the Russian Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs. So these meetings are traditional during St. Petersburg Economic Forum, and we have topics to discuss because the situation, politically and economically, is changing rapidly, and we constantly face new challenges. But I should highlight that relations of Russian and German businesses are still good, based on trust, and we do see the desire on the part of Russian businesses and German businesses to strengthen this cooperation. We run approved projects and we come up with new ideas and plans. And based on my experience, I would like to tell you a little bit, cite some examples of successful Russian-German cooperation in industry, in railway building. So with Siemens, last year we celebrated a decade of our joint venture, Uralsky Lokomotivy, located in Sverdlovsk region in Verkhnyaya Pyshma. So that company launched production of high-speed trains, which are called Lastochka. So Russian passengers really enjoy them. They're used in almost 60 regions of our country. In the beginning, in the first 3 years, we talked a lot about localization of production. So for 82% of components of those trains are produced in Russia, and we were able to achieve that level because Siemens localized components production in Russia. So we're not even talking about localization anymore. We are saying that Lastochka is a product of a joint venture, Sinara and Siemens, but it's a product made in Russia. In fact, it's a very telling example of cooperation. It is the largest joint venture of Siemens outside of Germany. And there's some potential for us to work on. We also produced a new line of freight train locomotives for which use Russian voltage, and we have a new project to work on with Russian railways. Siemens, Sinara, and Ural locomotives signed an agreement to create a Russian train for high-speed transport. So with the average speed of 360 kilometers per hour and maximum speed of 400 kilometers per hour, which is a breakthrough project not only for Russia, but even globally, because you don't find such examples. Maybe there are 2 or 3 such examples anywhere. And many innovative ideas and research will go into that. And shortly, we will launch this high-speed connection between Moscow and St. Petersburg, and then the design of this train, which is already underway, and industrial plans that we have, which are being developed currently. So they'll come into full force, and by 2028 we will see this Russian train, which we will produce together, and the key technological partner is Siemens on this project. And I should also note that throughout these years we have created almost 4,000 new jobs with high productivity. TMK is a global leader in production of steel pipes, also actively works with German partners. We highly appreciate the role played by equipment producers, SMS and many others. So when we modernized Russian pipe plants, we used a lot of German-made equipment, and we are thankful to our colleagues for this great equipment. It's very reliable in operation, and we're able to produce high-quality pipes. So our center of cooperation at TMK with German partners shifts towards digitalization. We work with SAP, PSI. We implement integrated planning system for all of our plants. So which is also an ambitious project which will be completed later this year. We implement with PSI a system of operational control, and that work is endless because technical progress and advances never stop, and German partners always have something to offer to Russia and to global economy, but we are not limited to business cooperation with our German partners. We also work to promote ideas of digitalization and strengthening Russian-German relations, to work with our German partners. For instance, with SAP in September this year, in Yekaterinburg, TMK and SAP organized together a traditional 5th International Mining Metallurgical Summit, which is a very important meeting for Russian and global players in metallurgy and in mining. And specifically, we'll be discussing effective approaches and digital solutions for production needs. We also do a lot of work. We work with the Eastern Committee of German Economy, Russian-German Council on Technical Regulation and Standardization for Digital Economy, and which is an effective platform for Russian and German experts, entrepreneurs. It functions under the auspices of the Eastern Committee of German Economy and Russian Industrialist Union Committee on Industrial Policy. We've been working on this for several years to harmonize technical standards and regulations, especially for digital economy. That work is very important, even though it's done somewhat behind the scenes, because we need to speak the same language and use harmonized standards in our work. We have run some joint Russian-German initiatives on digital transformation. Our experts developed a multi-language glossary in for smart manufacturing and for Industry 4.0. We published a brochure when harmonization of technical regulations, a chance for industries, which can be used by any industrial company. And in conclusion, I would like to stress that these successes and this long-term cooperation were possible because of trust and responsibility between partners, which is an important factor of success. When partners trust each other, when partners are mutually responsible towards suppliers and customers. And I wish that today's forum will be successful and we'll be able to come up with the right decisions. Thank you.
Shows in which way your company is integrated in a lot of areas which are relevant for energy, and in which we see as well that the European policy will have as well a major impact for your business model. Thank you so much. Alexey, I believe now you should take over and start with your part of the moderation. Thank you as well for Victor to be here at this round table.
Прошу прощения за опоздание, уважаемые коллеги.
I'm sorry for being late, dear colleagues. Just a few words. So about this moderation. We see that last year was difficult for all of us, one way or another. We were all impacted by the COVID pandemic, but unfortunately, we saw some complications last year. Also in European Russian and German Russian relations. Unfortunately, that's very bad for all of us. It's bad for long-term prospects for Russian and German and for Europe as a whole. And against this background, this mutual interest of Russian and German businesses that have existed for many years, it still remains today, and it's evidence here at this round table. This mutual interest is very important to maintain a certain level of relations between our countries. I really like this American phrase. There is this saying that you can divorce with your husband or with your wife, but you can divorce with your neighbor, get divorced with your neighbor. So we will always live together next to each other, Russia and Germany. So, but whether it'll be a good life or not, it depends on us. So we should not forget about that in our practical activities. So it's very good that German businesses and Russian businesses have this mutual contact and interests. So there are some examples of that. It's good that we were able to intensify those areas where we have potential of cooperation, such as green agenda, digitalization. It's very good that there is a group on digitalization between Russian Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs and European and German businesses. And I would call all of us to be guided by those fundamental things and focus on the positive agenda, so to help our countries to overcome these disagreements, because we have so much in common and we have so many opportunities together. Thank you. And we can go back to the German speaker who сейчас Mr. Bruch will be speaking. So we already mentioned Christian Bruch from Siemens, and Siemens has been mentioned several times, and Siemens plays a very important role from what we know in terms of administrating and in terms of changing energy landscape. Can you tell us about your company? We know that your company is very multifaceted, and by 2050 you are going to be climate neutral. And what does it mean for Russian-German relations? Thank you very much. In our company, we use two terms, Siemens and energy. So here I need to discuss energy. We talk about energy delivery and about the use of energy, and we are involved with these things. It is at the center of our discussion, and that is being and what things are transformed, and we need to be transformed ourselves. And each country has their own chances, because it has its own balance between sustainable development and their ability to pay for energy. We need to find our own solutions, even though we have a common goal to have sustainable development. For many decades in Russia, we've had very successful partnership, and we are proud of it. We have trusted partners. We have localized many things, and if we talk about the power of wind, we have done some successful transformation on that front, and we will continue doing that.
and we are discussing transformation. So what technologies we'll have to develop and use, and what technologies we will use in the future. Also a couple of things about the partnership between Russia and Germany. First, we have the single objective. But our discussions are, well, ideologically colored, and it is very important for our enterprise. There are a lot of changes in the energy sector, and we need a lot of solutions here. So we also need to adapt to them. And also closely follow the discussion going on in Germany. These disputes are hot, and we participate in them. So we also participate in the transformation to achieve sustainable energy. And we also use gas turbines and energy transformations are based on the use of gas. And I listened to President Putin's speech, who mentioned that Russia will also implement energy-efficient technologies. Well, in the discussion between Russia and Germany, we have a chance to demonstrate how we can achieve one and the same target using different means. So it's not our chance, just only chance. It's our duty. We need to develop projects. We need to find solutions to show the society how CO2 can be environmentally friendly. And we also are facing risks, for example, as Alexey mentioned, related with the pandemic, and certainly we feel it on both national and regional levels. And now we need to see how we'll work on the cooperation on the global level and on the level Russia-Germany. We can speak about the hydrogen economy or use of gas, and this will be sustainable energy consumption. And we can work together under such projects. So it was a good example of the American saying about neighbors. And yes, we need to use this asset, and we need to find examples of the project to be implemented on a joint basis, in a joint effort. So it concerns not just the energy production, but also its transmission, and we will be happy to work together with Russia, in cooperation with Russia. Well, thank you very much. We need to look in the future at the role of gas, because gas should remain in our projects for us to attain sustainable development. Sergei, I give you the floor. The floor is yours. So you're one of the leaders in our country who invest into green technologies. What is your vision of your sector, and where can we be in the collaboration with our German partners? Thank you very much, dear colleagues. Thank you to the organizers of this very relevant discussion, and an opportunity to participate in this discussion, because the subject of the energy transfer,
energy transition,
or transition. Well, it was just discussed for some time, and different formats of this collaboration we also discussed today. We have the a decision of the government of international organization about this energy transition, that it should be implemented. So it is extremely important in this context to discuss the interaction between Russian and German business. The German business, one of the key European businesses, and we should clearly understand what the energy transition means about the regulations in this context, about the CO2 rates or permissible concentrations in the air. And depending on that, commercial and economic relations between our countries will develop. So these issues have been already tackled, and we see our real situation. We know that the energy tax will be implemented, a tax on the product delivered to the European markets. And certain rules will also operate in this context. But we don't have the single methodology for assessing the contribution of different enterprises. And Russia endeavors to do a lot, but without an efficient dialogue between Russian business and European business, and primarily key business, because Germany is one of the key actors in Europe. On the level of the government, it will be very difficult to come to our decision. And in the format of the Russian-German dialogue and the format of the collaboration in business, so it will be more efficiently and more rapidly to address this issue, because it may become the key in the future, the key issue for the future. The second matter is already mentioned by Christian. Certainly, it will cost money. So for each company, for each country, the energy transition won't be free. So it's a new technology, the transformation of the overall technology or some of its part. And so the question is, who will pay and how? So currently, we're just populist approaches to this issue are very dangerous. For example, let's stop producing gas, coal. Suddenly, in the political context, they look attractive, but as regards the economic efficiency, they are just provoking, and it is very dangerous because the situation can become a tool of non-competition struggle. So using different regulatory limitations and protectionism, we may encounter dishonest competition aimed at the protection of certain markets. And they will just call their energy transformation, so it's not like that. So thank you for your question. Alexey. Well, science community can play the key role here, because the dialogue about the assessment of and the methodology of assessing the energy transition indicators is still open. We've set up a large center for sustainable development projects, and it deals with two areas. First of all, it's development of advanced methodologies and analytics related to solving these problems, and on the other hand, it's related with the development for some specific issues for the development and the issues of development and storage in relation to hydrogen economy. So, SkolTech has developed an approach to the CO2 emission in the well, and then it's pumping back to the formation. Well, it is an efficient method. It's high-tech, and we already have a collaboration with the SkolTech in this area, and gas purified from CO2 will be more acceptable for large contracts with our European partners. Despite that it is apparent, we have a lot of technical issues to be addressed. Well, we collaborate very closely with our German partners in SkolTech, with the Planck Institute, with the Technological Institute of Mehren, and we have a lot of programs launched with them, and its former president, Dmitriy, is the deputy chairman of the board of directors of the Skolkovo Foundation and our SkolTech. This person is very experienced and very knowledgeable, and is one of the best examples of our cooperation. So a few words about the issues of alternative energy in this country. Here we maybe are larger investors in Russia to the solar energy projects, and Russia is intensively participating in support to the solar energy projects. So the program, the solar energy program, has been adopted not long ago, and the markets that are supported by the state are not only markets supported by the state are being developed, but there are also markets that are not regulated by the government, and the presence in these markets is very promising. We've already developed technologies that are highly competitive with our with global leaders, and we achieved this just about 34%, and it is a very high level for solar energy generation, and we already can produce flexible solar panels, plastic panels, and we can produce solar panels that are competitive by price with the international analogs. We develop with our German partners mobile systems to be set up in motor vehicles, and the partnership with our with the German companies in engineering is very promising. And to sum up, we need unified standards and unified approaches. So we need to develop them. It's a key to our work in the future. Thank you. Now we would like to switch to the matters related of our future cooperation. Not just our current cooperation, but also let's discuss the future with, for example, the hydrogen technology. And I would like to give the floor to the UMFL representative, Mr. Mr. Seele, so and they'll work with new business models, and have already started this work from the beginning of this year, and they've made a step to another world, to a new world. That it may not be related with UMV. We will see a lot of new things in our business in the future. And now, what do you think about the future of the energy sector, of the energy enterprise, in the context of challenges faced by the countries of the European Union? Thank you, Klaus, for the invitation to this discussion with the participation of such experts. With these experts, I would like to continue the topic started by Alexey. We saw difficulties in German-Russian relations, but these were not just economic issues. So we would like to cooperate with your excellent country, and during the pandemic we saw a lot of difficulties and challenges, but the German economy was rather successful during the pandemic, so we are ready to invest, and we are ready to work in Russia and together with Russia. I think it is very optimistic that this year we'll see pulses to initiate new projects, and means acceleration of our cooperation and its diversification. As regards the political support, certainly there are certain and definite interests, but still we need new projects. As regards the energy sector, I do agree with Mr. Bruch, and natural gas in the midterm will play a great role in this cooperation, and we will feel the impact of this, and we will see the potential in the natural gas consumption. But our industry invested billions of euros to the guaranteed supplies, guaranteed energy supplies. So when we have a cold winter in Germany, and there are a lot of talks about climate change, have another modality and is perceived in the other way. So we need energy supplies. We need additional supplies this year, and we need investments here. So we invest into reliable supplies. We need reliable partners. It is very important to have the guaranteed basis of our cooperation. As regards the renewables, then sometimes there are protests on behalf of the green politicians. So these speak about investment into green technologies. So I'm an advocate of Nord Stream 2. But this project currently has a symbolic significance, and it has become a symbol of Russian-German cooperation, and our council and the foreign trade chamber are sure that we need to finalize this project, and their arguments to that. We need to increase pressure on the politicians because these billions of investments were justified. We need to persuade the governmental offices that it is so important that we need to continue it. It doesn't matter what country you are from. When you invest, climate matters first of all, and the atmosphere of trust around the Nord 2 project, is being disrupted nowadays. But we are absolutely sure that we need it. When other speakers join the discussion, we need to talk about the arguments, and it's a pity that not always these arguments are discussed in a due manner. Sometimes
And the problem is sometimes we have too few such people who are for this economy, for this industry, with all of their hearts, with all their speakers' abilities. And speaking of the future, because I'm absolutely confident that we have reliable relations and cooperation, and in midterm it means a lot for us. And we need to develop, besides that, cooperation in the area of hydrogen energy, because hydrogen energy promises a good potential. And we have an initiative group, we have in our chamber where Russian and German experts meet, and our both countries are complementary with their experiences and with their achievements. I'm a chemist, ladies and gentlemen, and hydrogen has no color, and we need to have open technologies, not political discussions when we talk about that. When a hydrogen molecule is green, when it comes from neutral sources, so we will use only that kind of hydrogen. Hydrogen is hydrogen. End of discussion. And if we take hydrogen energy to the market, we should understand that Germany will have to import hydrogen. We need hydrogen not only for transport and mobility, but also in many other industries. And I'm very sorry that this discussion in Germany is very one-sided in that sense, that everybody votes for green hydrogen, but once again, hydrogen is hydrogen. It's everywhere. Whether it's blue or green, molecules have no color. So they say that gas is bad because it's a fossil fuel, but we want, and it can be exhausted, but we want to reduce CO2 emissions, so that's the main goal. And hydrogen energy will be very productive in that sense, because emissions and carbon footprint will be minimal. When we produce, what we can capture and store, and we can pump back CO2, it's great. If we can take it to the next level of chemical synthesis, we'll be able to produce hydrogen without emitting CO2. It'll be wonderful technology, but we need to have the right conditions in place. And there's probably the future will be like that. And there's a potential for cooperation there. And lastly, I'm very emotional, by the way, always. But in Europe, a decision has been made by majority of countries to ban underground storage of CO2. But you have groundwaters, water that we drink, and we cannot take that risk. There are some biological reasons. Biologists provide some argumentations that you cannot store CO2 underground. Or if we do it in Russia, not in Germany. So we should have it all covered. We should have infrastructure in place. We need transportation. We need pumping for hydrogen as well. And hydrogen is great. It's a special technology with a lot of potential for our cooperation, among other things. And here's my message. Let's create a German-Russian alliance on hydrogen energy. Thank you very much, Mr. Reiner, for your presentation. And it's very good that you were so clear about your ideas and about your stance on Russian-German relations and tech solutions. You're very passionate about this, and hydrogen energy has a future potential, as we see, and we've been recommended to discuss this and to take it to the political level. Welcome. You couldn't come to St. Petersburg, but in a digital way, you're there with us. You're with us. So can you tell us, how is your company, your business changing? What do you think about renewables, about how green energy will impact EU policy, and vice versa, how EU policies will impact your business model? So what do you have to say on this? Thank you very much, Mr. Mangold, for the invitation. Unfortunately, I couldn't come to the forum. Perhaps you drove an electric car, you didn't make it all the way. But we have a long-term relationship and cooperation between Russia and Germany, and mutual interests should be the foundation of it. And Mr. Mangold has been for cooperation always. We need to have reliable and stable energy sources. Europe needs that. Europe is a market for energy. And I agree with many things that have been said. Let's build relations and institutions together on both sides. Not to read between the lines, but to have clear business models in place. And speaking of political aspects, in recent times, it hasn't been very harmonious. It's been far from being harmonious, but we also have an economic dimension, and things are very different there. And also, we have people who have their own ideas, their own opinions. We have done some polls, and very clearly, we have very clear results of those polls. 2/3 of Germans want to strengthen cooperation with Russia in this energy sector, and they consider Russia to be a successful and reliable partner and a reliable supplier of energy. It used to be like this in the past. It is like this now, and it will continue to be like that in the future, hopefully. And we have a series of projects which are supported, that support this opinion. They produce results. 60%, even more, of people think that Nord Stream 2 should be operational, that it is an important project for energy supplies to Germany and Europe. And it is also important with regard to climate changes, to mitigate them. So we have those ambitious goals, and we'll be able to achieve them if we be able to cooperate in the economic area. And let me emphasize once again, we talked about different colors of hydrogen, but there are discussions on many other issues. Hundreds of billions have been spent on implementation of different ideas to improve the climatic situation, but it hasn't been effective in every case. So we need to find better, more effective ways. So electric mobility or thermal insulation of buildings and multiple regulatory ideas. We have supported many of them, but I can tell you, by addressing all the countries, give an example, provide an example. We have lost time, and we're losing time. Decades in Germany have been lost. CO2 emissions should be reduced quickly and cheaply. It should be realistic. It should not be expensive. And to say that we'll achieve specific KPIs by 2050, that's not enough. There are some opportunities in Russia or with Russia, in cooperation with Russia. And this energy partnership should be modernized. And we should look forward and think about next steps. And the potential of hydrogen in Russia and around the world is enormous. And so there is a future for hydrogen producers in Germany and elsewhere. What shall we do to make sure it becomes one of the top energy sources? So pyrolysis is a major topic. We have done some studies in cooperation with Gazprom, so there are some future prospects there. But we should think about several steps ahead of us. Hydrogen should help us, and we should look further ahead. And government consultations on hydrogen energy, so between Russian and German governments, we'll see what kind of results they will produce and in terms of business models. I had many meetings in St. Petersburg. I'm very optimistic about that. If we stick to the similar ideology on both sides, if we're able to convince politicians and policymakers, that's the way to go. It would be the wrong thing to do otherwise. We need to be transparent, and we need to speak clearly, to say exactly what we want, where we're going. And if only one side makes the right steps, we cannot win. Let's cooperate. Let's share technologies with each other. Let's build business together. Let's implement innovations that we need. And let's not discuss the color of hydrogen, how it's being served, how they present it. I think cooperation between Russia and Germany will be very productive when we use natural gas and other energy sources. Thank you. And now I back over to you. Thank you very much for your presentation. And perhaps you can answer some of the questions. Very good. Thank you for that. So I turn it back to Alexey Mordashov. So let's continue. I would like to Alexey Sutyaginsky of Titan group of companies. Mikhail, you are well known in your achievements in petroleum chemistry, but you also have a clear environmental position. So do you have any solutions for urban pollution? Are there any joint projects with German partners in that area? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that these numbers and facts are well known. So the main producer of pollution in large cities, it's cars. Their number has grown rapidly in recent years, and it's no secret that the percentage of air pollution it reaches 50 or 60%. So of all the emissions, it's generated by cars, and primarily, I think this European example. Example is used or learned. This lesson was learned by Europe to improve the quality of motor fuel. So, which is a quick way to effectively reduce emissions. To use high octane components in gasoline and similar components for diesel fuel. Those products are used and produced from vegetable, renewable sources. And in this situation, I think you should agree with this, that those results can be, that should help us to reduce 30 to 60% of emissions of CO2 and also of NOx in our cities. And besides that, when it's implemented, you need to implement also other measures not to produce 92 gasoline and increase the concentration, the content of those components that I already mentioned, to improve the quality of motor fuel, because Euro 2 and Euro 3 engines do not meet today's requirements anymore. So if there are measures to incentivize replacement of those cars and to use high octane components, we'll be able to achieve those desired results. So motivation or incentives for that, even if we discontinue gasoline 82, that will help to reduce greatly emissions of CO2 and NOx. So that can be a joint business with German companies having experience in using catalysts used for synthesis in production, using microbiological processes, where it is important, and also production costs are very important because agents which are used. So Germany already has experience with this. We know that from our cooperation with our partners. So those are we use German equipment where we work with many German suppliers, and we are very happy with quality and with the results. So we have opportunities to do that, even more so. So we'd like to use this opportunity, and we invite German businesses to start this joint venture to implement those, to use those projects in Russian. Thank you very much.
So talking about the Russian territory, only one complex in Omsk produces NTB from 1991, and we use now so we can produce equipment for a lot of our cities. So for 15 million cities with 15 million population, 3 complexes like this can cover the needs of this number of people, and we can, and this is the way we can export. We can increase our exports to Germany or Europe, and generally it is just a reciprocally beneficial activity, and it's a step forward in our cooperation. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Maubach, you're welcome. It's a Uniper, and we deal with and we work intensively, but not only in the German market, but also in Russia. And what is your vision of changes in the electricity sector in the near future? Would maybe a few words about the Uniper business model and how well the Uniper business model will look like in a couple of years? Thank you. I'll try to answer this question. But before that, a few remarks. So I would like to join to what's been already said today. 2020 was a year that a very difficult year for us due to the Uniper. For our company as well, it was very challenging. But for the company, well, it was not as bad as that. We celebrate our 25th anniversary of the company. We also had we implemented good cooperation with Russian partners due to Ruhr gas. The pandemic was just a little bit upset this holiday that we had in relation with our anniversary. So our relations with Russia has been functioning during a lot of years, and we hope that in the near 50 years we still see the same manner of cooperation between these two countries. So we consider Nord Stream 2 to be a very good project, and it's an excellent project, and I really hope that during the next 5 years, nobody will say that we don't need them. We will import gas to Europe. As regards to your question about our future in the next 5 years, we have a group dealing with our future business model, and that's decarbonization primarily. So we are a gas company, and we have certainly a good partnership with Gazprom. As regards gas supplies, we have another partner. We will also generate electricity, and we cooperate with Russia in this aspect as well. But decarbonization will be in place in all activities of the company, in the gas, electricity sectors, hydrogen. It's also our future, and we work in this area as well. And I believe that Germany will be successful in this area as well. So there are a lot of discussions about that. So I think that we'll have to abandon coal industry, coal production, and this will take place not only in Germany. This subject is also of concern for us, and decarbonization should also take place in the electricity sector. We sell energy and sell electricity, and we will import hydrogen, and Russia will be our partner in this area. So we will buy gas from Russia, and we will buy hydrogen from Russia, and we will process it in Germany, or Russia will do it. Maybe we should discuss the technological aspect. We should share our ideas, but we shouldn't let politicians discuss this and make their decisions in this area. So we're ready to such discussions, and we are ready to discuss new technologies. So we should decide, should these contracts will be long-term, and they will be in the field of hydrogen economy. Well, I don't know how it will go on, but in these parts maybe should be discussed in the near future. Well, you called us to efficiently work in the economic sector. So there's no place, there's no room for the intervention of the state. We need to work on the economic facet of such projects. The regulation measures of the state shouldn't impact our activity. And now it's the next point of our discussion. So, representatives Deutsche Bank. We should just please outline the situation with the bank participation in this cooperation. How you do finance such projects? Where is the role of sustainable development in your work? What do you think about the governmental regulation measures? What will you do to smooth out this cooperation? How will you be able to support economic initiatives? What will Deutsche Bank do? What will the financial sector do to provide investment to us? What will be your criteria for assessing such projects? How will you invest in such projects? Thank you.
Русский канал перевод. Англичанин говорит.
Of capital, transition finance, and an upside for Russia and Germany in their transformation. So I think for the last couple of years, companies thought that consumers would actually change their preference based on the ESG strategy of that corporate, which hasn't really happened. So it doesn't seem that you switch from Pepsi to Coca-Cola because of sustainability. However, the decision how you invest your money seems to be much more deliberate and conscious. So what we've seen is that 3/4 of our wealth management clients want to only invest in funds that adhere to ESG criteria. So what we've now been doing is that you need to opt out of ESG as opposed to opting in. So therefore, if you want any project to be financed in the future, then the BlackRocks and DWSs of this world will only provide financing, in my mind, to the top quartile, the top half of corporates. Now, the question is obviously what is sustainable, and there's a lot of work needs to be done on data, on taxonomy, so fully agree with that. But I think a big challenge is also imagine a well-run company with an outdated, not green production site. I think there's going to be a strong incentive to simply sell the production site because you want to be able to tell the capital market that you're clean, that you got out of that asset. Now, the question is who could be the buyer? Because the buyer will not be a publicly traded company because they would have the same challenge. The buyer would probably be somebody that's focused less on transparency, focused less on the environment, and that's clearly not good for the world. So therefore, a big challenge for banks that we need to solve is really how do you enable well-run companies on their transformation journey, because they are the ones that should actually sort out the production side because they know it the best. The last point, I think that sustainability in the transformation offers huge upside to Russia and Germany because we are not that great if innovation is based on data. I think there are other countries that are better in data-based innovation, but I think we're very, very strong if innovation is based on engineering. Now, direction of travel for institutional investors is really to understand the whole supply chain, the end-to-end of an industry, not what the respective company is doing. And so therefore, I think what we can do more between Russia and Germany is really from the production of iron ore, ensuring that the buyer and whatever the end product is going to be, that I enable my buyer of the iron ore to actually reduce their carbon footprint. And so therefore, in addition to the various projects that I heard today, and obviously finding solutions of how to finance it, the end-to-end understanding of the of various segments is really what's needed in my mind.
I hope, thank you so much for your statement. I have received a paper that we should finish in 3 minutes. So this was, I was of the opinion, according to the draft which I have under my eyes, that we have still 20 minutes more, but obviously this has changed. So we have still time for one final statement, either from you or from somebody else around this table.
Yeah, I keep it very brief because I wanted to pick on Rainer's comment on the hydrogen partnership with Russia, which I think is absolutely important. But I also want to make one comment to it. We have to bring things to reality. There's so much discussion around hydrogen, which really doesn't help. I mean, we are all tired of the discussions about what you could potentially do, and we lose the discussion in the society. At the end, we need to convince the people, and energy is unfortunately something where everybody has an opinion, and there's a lot of wrong perceptions in. And people do not understand that hydrogen is for storage, hydrogen is required, hydrogen will be indispensable for decarbonization of certain processes, but hydrogen is not an energy source. We need to really bring real projects to life to help us explain this in the society. Otherwise, we as industry will leave it to the politics. And this is where I would really encourage us to use 2021 to get projects into reality, because it's absolutely necessary that something happens.
Bruch, thank you so much for this statement. I believe that we should come to an end, but as well I believe what you said we should not leave it only to the politicians, as well we should not leave it to the media. And I believe it's up to us to talk much more with the media and also influencers to have a change of their opinion about hydrogen, and to look forward that we have a very clear opinion about what's going on. Otherwise, we will have the same issue as what we had. I'm a little bit exaggerating what we had a couple of years ago with everything which was linked with nuclear. Let's avoid this, and let's really be much more reasonable, rational, and convincing with the political and media side. Thank you so much for coming and joining us here at this round table. And I wish you all the best for a good day of discussions at this brief. Thank you so much for everybody attending this meeting. Bye-bye.